They're battling, the 7 car is battling some handling issues. They were extremely loose early on. They were
too hard into the wall
now.
In turn 4. One of those being Ryan Reed in the 16. And a lot of damage to the right front of that car. There's another car right there, the 2 of Matt Tift. Saw him backed. He's headed the wrong direction right there up against the wall.
We just documented the good recovery he had from the earlier issue. He had to come down pit road to serve a penalty. Heavy damage for Ryan Reed. They're running for 11th and 12th.
He's trying to get back onto pit road using the short oval that's right in front of the grandstands here. But a very hard hit for the 16 of Ryan Reed. And Matt Tift trying to climb out as we see Ryan climbing out of the 16. But Tift trying to climb out of the 2, but he's got the wall right there.
You saw Tift trying to get out. He couldn't. So now they're taking the right side window out. See Ryan Reed down on the ground, obviously in some discomfort.
That happened right in turn 4, just as the cars were about to exit, and you can just see Ryan Reed catching his breath.
You saw the damage to that 16 car. Huge impact to have that much damage on the right front corner.
Anytime any drivers are involved in an accident, they have to make a mandatory trip to the infield care center, so that will be the first stop for these drivers. Both Ryan Reed and Matt Tift. Tift, they're still working as far as getting him away from the wall to get him out of that number 2. That's the AMR safety team. It's on the track.
He talked to me. He's okay. They just, he can't climb out against the wall there.
Just listening to team radio there. So they're working on getting the 2 out of position where the driver can climb out as he's doing it.
Yeah, we talked about how slick this racetrack is, and Matt Tift gets loose and just loses the car, and Ryan Reed comes in and hits him. And look at those 2 impacts, just solid side impact, Steve.
Yeah, and that angle, you're going to see this 16 right here. It doesn't really get turned enough to hit with the front of the car that sometimes can crumple up and actually absorb some impact. That's right with the door. I'm fortunate enough to never been able to take one of those rides, but I've had drivers tell me, Jeff, that impact right in the door, you just feel it in the seat. Man.
Speaking of drivers, we bring in Dale Earnhardt Jr. This happened really just off to your right, Dale, in the from the Peacock pit box.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously those are some really nasty hits. Glad to see both those guys get out of the race car. And, Reed, there's a neurosurgeon at every racetrack, and I'm sure that those guys will be looking over these drivers once they get to the infield care center. A couple other things we can learn from this this crash is the trouble for Tiff to get out of the car. And NASCAR will interview Tiff and look at if they're looking to see if there's some sort of issue there. If that car had been on fire or something, I'm sure that Matt would have been in a little bit bigger of a hurry and would have been able to evacuate that race car quickly. But you can never be fast enough. So there's some things to be learned from that experience as well. Just glad that both those guys are okay, man. That 16 particularly took a very, very hard high G impact at about a 30-degree angle there, and those are really nasty. And good to see him get out.